You think you have the right to sit here? My mother's voice cut through the restaurant like shattered glass, sharp and piercing. I stood at the doorway, holding my 5-year-old daughter, her face still bright with innocent anticipation. At the table, my father and my sister's children were already tucking into lobster. The golden sheen of buttered shells reflected the candlelight, while my daughter's plate remained empty, wobbling in front of me. My mother pushed it toward me with a cold smile. We didn't order anything for you. Did you bring snacks? I could see my father leaning back, laughing casually, as if our hardship had nothing to do with him. You know how tight money is, he said lightly. My sister giggled beside him, piling chocolate cake into her own children's plates, completely ignoring my daughter sitting there with her glittered birthday card, her face full of confusion. I stood still, palms sweaty, holding myself together, refusing to cry or argue, just gently patting my daughter's hand. The air felt frozen. The lights highlighted my hair, making me look frielier than I actually was. The restaurant's soft background music faded to silence in my ears, leaving only the sound of my own breathing and my daughter's quiet sniffle. I wanted time to stop, to make this humiliation last forever, or perhaps, never end. I'll make this very clear, I finally said, my voice low but steady. Tonight, the bill is yours. My mother froze, eyes wide. My father chuckled, trying to diffuse the tension. Are you out of your mind? I didn't respond. I knelt down, pulled my daughter close, and turned to walk out. She looked up at me. Mom, I'm not hungry, she said softly, but I felt the lie. We returned to my childhood room, the one that used to feel familiar but now seemed cold and strange. My backpack carried only a few clothes and my daughter's toys. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching her curl up, clutching her polished giraffe toy tightly. My gaze drifted to the sheets, and memories from the past came rushing back. The years of shame washed over me. At school, being publicly scolded for not having the latest supplies. At home, my mother's constant criticism for not being diligent or obedient enough. My sister's relentless judgment, finding fault with every outfit, every word, every action. Every laughter around me carried the weight of silent humiliation. I remembered crying in the kitchen while washing dishes, my father tapping his glass at the table, sneering, "Still can't take care of yourself at your age." But this time was different. I held my daughter close and resolved not to endure it anymore. I knew I had the power to protect her, and the ability to respond. Not petty revenge, but to confront the weight of years of accumulated humiliation. The next morning, I called Joe, a friend of my mother's generation who had always treated me with fairness. Her voice was calm. You need a safe place? I've got you covered. I briefly explained the previous night. She didn't scold or urge patience. She simply said, "Come on over. You can stay." When we arrived, Joe was waiting at the door, wearing soft silk pajamas and wool slippers, holding a glass of red wine. She glanced at my daughter, then at me, and nodded. "Come in." The house was clean and warm, with personal photographs on the walls and freshly watered plants on the windowsill. The air smelled of coffee and pine. For the first time in years, I could breathe freely. Life began to stabilize. Joe helped us find a new apartment, arranged the move, and provided financial support. In our sunlit 2-bedroom apartment, my daughter's laughter echoed through the rooms, no longer overshadowed by neglect. Every morning, she would run to the kitchen, donning oversized gloves and calling herself the kitchen boss as she helped crack eggs. Her joy was real now, no empty plates, no confusion, no being ignored. Yet I had not forgotten my mother and sister. Their indifference and cruelty had left marks like nails in my heart. I quietly observed them, gathering information and waiting for the right moment. Joe reminded me, some debts have to be settled eventually. I began my careful plan. First, I investigated my mother's hidden assets. Through Joe's contacts and legal support, we located a storage unit she had secretly rented. Most of it contained old furniture and books of little value, but one jewelry box caught my eye, an heirloom my grandfather had left me, which my mother had claimed was lost. With the police and lawyers' help, we confirmed it was indeed in her unit. I arranged for law enforcement to secure the storage unit, making sure my daughter was safe. I didn't yell or act impulsively, I let the system work. My mother and sister realized something was happening. They tried to call, threaten, and plead, but I calmly responded, "We're not stopping." Panic replaced my mother's arrogance. Her calls and texts became desperate. My sister even attempted to come by, feigning concern, begging me to understand. I remained composed, with documentation, lawyers, and a plan at Joe's house. For the first time, my mother experienced the collapse of the control she had exerted over me. Next came financial action. I froze certain accounts held in their names, reclaimed assets they had misappropriated under my name, and ensured property ownership was legally scrutinized. Their schemes unraveled. My mother's voice trembled on the phone. "You can't do this, we can talk, don't escalate this." I replied coldly, "This is reality. You chose this path." Step by step, I secured compensation and guarantees, my daughter's safety, our stable life. My mother and sister were powerless, their threats and sarcasm meaningless against calm, deliberate action. Their expressions finally showed fear and helplessness, even begging over the phone, while I maintained silence and composure. I stood at the center of my own life. My daughter played in the sunlit apartment, Joe nearby, and I held the long-lost necklace. It was no longer a symbol of loss, but of justice and freedom. My mother and sister's fury and panic were simply echoes of their own choices, while I watched my child grow in safety and love. Daily life became peaceful and full, coffee in the kitchen, sunlight spilling across yellow curtains, my daughter's laughter ringing clear. True revenge wasn't noise or petty spite, it was calmly, completely, irreversibly rendering their cruelty powerless. The fear and trembling of my mother and sister were the natural consequences of their actions. And finally, I could watch my child grow in freedom, love, and dignity.